What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. I mean, all I can say is I love y'all. I do. I must, because so here's the deal. I'm not going to do any spoilers unless a couple of the brothers that want to get together that I respect in terms of their media analysis. If they want to do a spoilers get together, we can. I just came from the theater, so I'm not going to do any spoilers unless that happens. I can tell you, I don't know for sure if Artisan has seen it, Artisan MC, but I will tell you, knowing Artisan, he likely has or will. And he'll likely do a spoiler, kind of breakdown Sunday at 11 a.m. PST, Pacific time. So go to Artisan MC. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Check out his channel. But definitely at 11 o'clock Sunday morning, that's when he breaks it down. So you definitely want to check that. He'll go way more in depth than I'm probably going to go, knowing him. I don't yet know if Layman's Journal is going to do a review, but look out for his channel as well. Before I go in, just, welcome, like, share, subscribe, join, donate, support the channel so we can continue to bring you this independent black male thought, and you can supplement my venture into alcoholism after this shit. But anyway, shout out to the brothers who came through. Dardar, appreciate that early support. And he called it. He said, sounds like you need a drink tonight. That's real talk, man. Y'all don't know. What's up, Spain Man? Okay. What's up, Artisan? I see him in there. All right. Gabriel Lewis, Art of Edmore was good. And Gabriel said, called it. I'm sorry, man. I can't. Stiff drink alert is real. Art of Edmore is real. It's real. This is 2 movies in a row that I was really not pleased with. This is getting rough. This is getting rough. Anyway, so I went to check out The Flash. Y'all know the deal. Comes out officially tomorrow, but I always get to check it out the night before. Flash is based on okay, so there's Layman. He said, what up, Dr. T? I'm writing my review now. Okay, so they can go to you, they can go to Arson for the in-depth. I'm giving you just my responses. So if you're not familiar, The Flash, and they hinted at this before, this is based off of the Flashpoint story, which was a 2011 comic book event. Changed the whole face of DC, right? I think it inaugurated the whole 52, new 52 or whatever. The comic, I don't recall. I actually don't remember if I read the series, or at least the central books for it. I don't recall. I do know that I saw the animated film, Flashpoint Paradox, and I do highly recommend that. I'm not saying it's better or worse than the comics, but I am saying it's a damn far shade better than this, in my humble opinion. I really enjoyed Flashpoint Paradox. Justice League, check it out. I enjoyed the way they took the story, and you might as well. If you haven't, seen it yet, treat yourself, right? This, I really did not enjoy. My facial expression doesn't give that away. I'll just let you know. I didn't enjoy it. They try to pick up a little bit after the last time we see the Justice League get together, starting with Barry Allen, right? And this is Ezra Miller. I'm not an Ezra Miller fan. And I would say that that's limited to the DCEU, but it's not. I mean, I was watching Fantastic Beasts the other night, and I realized watching, all three of those films, I really just don't like Ezra Miller as an actor. I obviously don't like him as a person in terms of the things he's gotten into, the things he's gotten away with, especially when you think about, how people like Jonathan Majors have just been caught up and may have lost their careers over unsubstantiated, bullshit. And this dude just gets away with murder. He's just ridiculous. I don't mean murder literally, but that adds to it. But I truly I'm not a fan of his acting, and that's kind of the biggest problem with this. What they do with this film, for good portions of the film, it relies on his acting times two, actually, because you can see this in the trailer. He plays himself twice, so you get a double dose of Ezra Miller playing the same character in from different contexts, and it's not quite the same, but it's almost like, when you watch Tom Hanks, play the only main character throughout most of the film, or Will Smith for that matter, when he does I Am Legend. It's kind of close to that in the sense that, the movie rests on his acting. And I don't know who made the decision that he had the skill to carry a whole movie. I really don't. I don't know who made that determination. I don't know what he did to get this lead. But he just does not have the skill to carry a whole film. He doesn't. I mean, I'll give it to Tom and Will. They are interesting enough as actors. They're skilled enough to carry your attention through comedy, through drama, through intrigue, through horror in some situations. Ezra, you get 5 minutes of Ezra and you've seen enough. And I'm being generous in terms of that. I really don't think the man's acting is at that point. Even if he didn't have all kinds of problems and issues, whatever he's going through, just in terms of being an actor, he doesn't have the skill to carry a whole film. You know what I mean? So that said, I think too much of the film relies on that, but it is based on the Flashpoint series. So, if you want to see Flashpoint done well, I would recommend going to see the comic, right? Or going to read the comic or watch the animated film. With the live action, if you really, if it's something you wouldn't mind seeing on a random day or night, I'd wait till it came on, something more accessible, comes on HBO or something you're already paying for. I really wouldn't go out of my way beyond that. But I'll share a couple observations without giving away any parts of the story beyond what you've seen in the trailers, right? So first thing I'll say is his running style is still stupid. It's in many ways as dumb as it was in Justice League. It's still there. I don't know why. I mean, the Flash TV show, they don't do it, but for some reason Ezra insists on running like an idiot, and it looks like it. It really looks ridiculous. It's almost like he's never read a comic before, and he just decided to wing some stuff. What's up, Heru? What's up, Urban Naturalist? What's up, Dardar? Tim, Lazarus? I'm listening. Good to see y'all in here. So yeah, his running style is still stupid. It really doesn't work in my opinion, but they keep doing it and I have no idea why. Obviously, well, they do a race. Let me see. Let me see. They do a race swap with Iris, so kind of, they're still kind of along those lines. I think I won't give away any more than that. I'll say, the Flash suit, which you get a glimpse of in the trailer, to me, it actually looks worse than it did on the Justice League. I mean, he looks like a condom. I don't know why they went this particular direction. I think they kind of hinted at, when he met the television Flash, at him being surprised about the softness of the fabric of the suit. They hinted at that in one of the, after credit scenes or whatever, but in another movie, not in this. But he has this new suit, and it really does look ridiculous. They do get the lightning piping in the suit from the comic. I like that effect. I just think the suit really kind of looks ridiculous. And the other Flash himself, and again, I'm not going beyond the trailers, his suit looks even worse. And you'll kind of see why, but they could have done a better job with that, even within the context of the story. So he still runs it like an idiot. The suit to me doesn't look particularly good in that respect. Let me see what else. They kind of, I don't know what they're trying to do in terms of diversity. With Flash, with him, he identifies himself as a Jewish boy in another one of the other films, I think in Justice League. But I guess in this instance, they gave him a Latina mother. So, and I mean, to really cement the fact that she's Latina, she's listening to, whatever music and she's singing in Spanish. So they just really want to drive home to you that, she's Latina. So he's Latina and Jewish and Latino and Jewish. And weird, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with that. I don't know if they're trying to tick off boxes or whatever, but it's just a little strange, that they would make that particular choice, but it is what it is. Let me see. What else do I mean, he's particularly annoying most of the time. I really got a headache kind of listening to his voice. And he was even annoyed with the character was even annoyed with himself. That should tell you something, right? So it's just that. Obviously, Michael Keaton was in this. Now, here's the thing. So I'm an 80s baby, or a 70s baby, but 80s, I was a latchkey kid, watched a lot of TV. That's all we did, actually. You went to school, you came home, you did your chores, finished your homework, and you watched TV until you passed out. And then in the summers, that's all my sister and I did was just watch TV. So I'm a TV kid from the 80s. I remember Michael Keaton. I saw Michael Keaton he was funny to me. Oh my God, what's the movie he was in where he played a pimp? Hold on. You guys might know it right off the head. Night Shift with Henry Winkler. Right. That was the one. I remember that from the 80s. He was funny to me. I remember seeing him in Mr. Mom. Again, funny to me. I'm a kid. The stuff I like is kid shit. I like it for reasons I can't explain, when I'm a kid watching it. I like Michael Keaton. When I heard he was going to play Batman, I couldn't describe the feeling then, but I would say now, in hindsight, it was disappointment. I'll say this. He did a better job than I expected, but he was never my Batman. At the end of the day, I would have respected if he at least put on some muscle to play the role. I mean, he looked like he walked off of Mr. Mom and threw on a leather suit. The only difference between then and now is he got considerably older. I'd say there were some writing moments, some creative moments that, the way they wrote the character where he does some interesting things. He's one of the best parts of it. And I'm saying that as somebody who wasn't particularly impressed with the Michael Keaton Batman. To be honest with you, in terms of anything animated or live action, my favorite Batman is probably from the Arkham Knight video game. And I'm not even a video game head. I mean, in fact, I'm so not a video game head. I bought an Xbox just to get that one game. And I gave it to my son. And he plays it and I watch it. But if I could have just got a whole animated kind of movie with that Batman, I would have been happy. I love the artwork. I love the car. I love the personality. Of course, you got the perfect voice on him in terms of the classic Batman voice, God rest the dead. But that's probably my favorite rendition of an animated / close to live action Batman. It wasn't Michael Keaton, but Keaton was particularly interesting in this. It was good to see him, and that was probably in contrast as well to how much I really was annoyed by Ezra. I have been wrong about things in the past in terms of when I heard about certain actors playing characters. When I first heard about Heath Ledger playing Joker, I was disappointed. I'm like, this is the dude I just saw on Knight's Tale or whatever. Knight's Tale. You're telling me he's going to be the Joker? I fully admit I was wrong. I loved his Joker. Still love his Joker. Thought it was brilliant. He was actually somebody that would scare me in real life. I really have to give Heath Ledger that. I didn't think Guardians of the Galaxy was anything I wanted to see. The last thing I wanted to see was a damn raccoon shooting people. But I got to admit, all 3 Guardians movies had me laughing my ass off. They really did. Creative, interesting storytelling, emotive. There were points that made you actually care for the characters, want to see them do well. So I can admit when I'm wrong. I personally with Keaton, I felt this way for years. I'm not, I can watch it. I can watch his films. I just didn't think he was the best pick. Uh, but that said, I mean, especially after growing up off of Christopher Reeve, I mean, his to this day, his performance of Superman is the only one that ever gave me hope, which is what Superman is supposed to do, right? He's supposed to give you a sense of hope. He's supposed to be an inspirational figure. I've never seen anyone else pull that off in live action except Christopher Reeve. So, going from him to Michael Keaton, I never really felt it. But like I said, he's actually, one of the best parts of this movie. So I'll hand him that. I just don't know how much of a compliment that is considering the movie. But he showed up to work. I'll put it that way. He showed up, he did what he had to do. I wasn't disappointed in his performance. I just never thought he was a good pick. But after watching a good hour of this shit, I was glad to see him. I'm looking through all my notes, and I can't tell you, there's probably about 9 or 10 times where I wrote about Ezra's acting. The one spoiler I will give you is that there is actually an official bat lightning kite. And I gotta say, I busted out laughing. I don't think that was supposed to be funny. I don't know if it was. Nobody else in the theater laughed, but I thought it was hilarious. There's actually a bat lightning kite. I thought that was quite interesting. And if you if you read the comics or you saw the animated Flashpoint Paradox, you know why that lightning kite is necessary. But either way, it's hilarious. The film tries to deal with a lot of nostalgia. I mean, they looked at Spider-Man No Way Home and they said, well, shit, if anybody's going to be able to rely on nostalgia, it's going to be us. And DC has a strong case for that. I mean, DC, they can do this all day. And they do. How well they do it is the problem, right? In No Way Home, the way they do the 3 Spider-Mans is well written. It's creative. It's timely. By the time you actually see, Tom Holland's Spider-Man after having lost his family member, if you haven't seen it, I ain't gonna ruin it for you. The other couple Spider-Mans show up in a timely fashion, right? It's well written. It's well done. Matter of fact, the theater went nuts every time one of the other Spider-Man hit the screen. In this, they heavily rely on nostalgia, but they didn't. It's like they crammed it in at the last second, and they really could have delved into it more in a more calm and well-written manner. I don't think they did that. We got way too much Ezra on the screen, not acting well. And if you're going to dive into nostalgia, I think they should have done more of that, but done it well. Don't cram it in at the last second. Heavily CGI. But what do you expect? It is what it is. But I just don't think it was done well. I think it could have been done far better. And I think they have so many different characters to choose from. They could have done a lot more. As a matter of fact, you do get an interesting one that we've never seen on screen before. But if you're a nerd, you've heard of it. It never happened, but you do get to see it. I'll say this: it's interesting to see, right? Because we never had a chance to. This is the kind of a Tim Burton thing, so you get a chance to kind of see that. But not enough nostalgia, especially if you're going to counterbalance, horrible acting and a lukewarm story that, to my understanding, went through a lot of revisions, rewrites, whatever. And I thought they actually weren't going to release it at a certain point. I was surprised when I heard that it was actually going to get a theater release. And I can see why it was an issue. The film is just kind of piecemeal together and, it's holding on by a thread to me. But invariably, we all like what we like. I didn't like Transformers. A lot of brothers wrote in the comments that they did. So this is, if this is something you're curious enough about to go see, by all means, do what you got to do. If you ask me, I would say just, I would wait till it hit, one of the channels you like. That's kind of the only way I would put that. I would say less Barry, less Ezra, more nostalgia would have been good, but well-written nostalgia. Now, my problem with the DCEU when it comes to the Flash is they have always kind of written him as a dumbass. They tried to make him comic relief. Now, you can do that with Bart Allen, Impulse. You can even do a little bit of that with goodness. How am I blanking on his name? This is ridiculous. My memory has just gotten really bad. I don't know if it's old age or just a traumatic, last year. But where is it? Wally West. There we go. My bad. You can kind of do that. The way Wally West was written, I got into reading him in the 90s. You could kind of get into him being a little bit of a dumbass, a little bit of comic relief, a little bit. So Bart Allen, the youngest one, well, he's not the youngest, but one of the younger ones, Impulse, you can pull that with. Wally West, you can pull that with. Barry is not comedy. He's not comic relief. Barry, you know what Barry is in the comics? Barry is an adult. He's a mature adult for the most part. I mean, he has every reason to be a broken kid in a man's body, but he's actually not. I mean, he's one of the characters that, on sight, Batman respects even when they first meet. And Barry is a consummate kind of adult. To turn him into a dumbass, to me, it doesn't work. I mean, I think they could have gone with Wally or something of that nature if they really want to do that. It's almost like they tried to take Spider-Man and Deadpool and not the characters per se, but the attempt to make them comic relief, because, as far as I'm concerned, Deadpool is damn near perfect in terms of comic to film adaptation, perfect actor to pull off the humor, breaking the fourth wall or whatever, absolutely perfect. Spider-Man, not quite as nuts, but funny. And I think my son and I talk about this. It's not every Spider-Man kind of gets that balance. When you watch Tobey Maguire, he doesn't come off as believable to me when he starts quipping during a fight. Andrew Garfield, I think, got a lot of that right. I think Andrew Garfield got a lot of it right. Tom Holland, I liked his young Peter Parker. I liked the suits that he wore as Spider-Man. The quipping, I didn't really, I didn't get that from him as much. Andrew Garfield, to me, kind of pulled that off as far as the personality of Spider-Man in a way, especially in a fight. Flash is he's not humorous. That's not the one to kind of go with as far as that. And it looked to me like they really tried to, they didn't try to make him Deadpool or Spider-Man, but they tried to use this comic route because they've seen it done well and they've seen people take to it. And I just don't think it works. I don't think it works because of Ezra, but I also don't think it works with Barry as a character. That's just my humble opinion. So, as far as that, it never came across as something that I was going to take well, unless you blew me away the way Heath Ledger did. You know what I mean? When Heath Ledger first walked in the room as the Joker, he owned that shit. Like, he owned it. It's like listening to a new singer sing a classic song from a well-respected singer, and they own it to a point where you just got to stand and salute. Like, that's Heath Ledger's Joker to me. Ezra doesn't do that with the Flash. At no point does he own it enough for you to say, okay, you know what? That's not like Barry from the comics, but I'll take it because he owned it. You don't do that with Ezra. With Ezra, it's never believable. Like, I never forgot it was Ezra. That to me is the mark of a great film. When you actually forget who's playing. I mean, I remember when I went to go see Malcolm X for the first time with Denzel. Denzel don't look shit like Malcolm. Nothing. There's nothing in the world. I remember when I first saw the trailer, I was like, I like Denzel, but why would they choose him? It wasn't long into the film that I forgot that it was Denzel. Same thing when I watched Jamie Foxx play, I'm blanking on everything. Ray Charles. Now, granted, Jamie looked more like Ray Charles than Denzel looked like Malcolm. Still, regardless, Jamie's performance was so good, I forgot I was watching Jamie Foxx. That's for me, that's the mark of great acting. When I forget that there's an actor playing this character. Never forgot that with Ezra. Never. I was always well aware I'm looking at Ezra Miller. And I'm bored with him. There were points in the story I thought were interesting. Points that made my eyebrows raise at a different point, at different points in the story. Not because they were mind-blowing, but just because it was like, oh, they went that route. Okay. But nothing that made me excited. Nothing that got me teared up. Like, there was really, had no investment in any of the characters. you know. Um, Nothing in it that really inspired me to feel any kind of way, one way or the other. And I can tell you, after watching all three Guardians movies, one of the things I've learned about myself is that even a movie that I would think would be utterly ridiculous can be written well and performed well enough to actually make me feel something for characters that I didn't think I would care about. Flash does not do that. So I'll just say that. They kind of have an interesting explanation of the multiverse, little unique. I've never seen it explained that way. Artisan might be able to break that down in a way. He may have seen it somewhere else that I haven't. It's interesting. I think they could have done a better job at what analogies they use to explain it, but I will say it's a fairly creative way of envisioning how the multiverse works. Did they tap into it as well as they could? I think the film was holding on by its fingernails. So no, I don't think they delved into it as well as they could have. But that said, that's really it, man. You know, like I said, if I talk to the brothers and they want to get together, or if you guys let me know you want a spoiler version, I'll consider that. In the meantime, you know, that's my impression of it. That, you know, those are the thoughts that I had that I can share, that don't, you know, give away anything incredibly important. Trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to share with you guys. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a point where I realized the story wasn't great, but with a quality actor, you could at least stomach it a little more. I can't tell you enough how much Ezra actually kept taking me out of the story, just doing dumb shit. And I don't mean that in terms of the character and how the character acted. I mean Ezra. But I will say, seeing Flash do stupid shit, just it really didn't help. You know, because when I was first introduced to Flash, I think I came in on Flash. I didn't really, the Silver Era Flash, I wasn't really into. You know, he was a little too old for me. It was like, you know, trying to get into the old Reed Richards or something when you're 13, 12, you know. So I didn't really get into Barry. My first intro into the Flash, when I finally started collecting him, the Flash was Wally. Wally was a little younger. I could relate a little more. I got into it from there. But Wally taught me how to respect Barry. Because you know, again, by the time I started collecting Flash, you know, Barry Allen was gone for years. You know, he was really gone. And so Wally West was trying to fill his shoes. I learned to respect Barry because I met him, so to speak, through Wally. So if you've ever had a mentor you respect that's gone, that's kind of how I was introduced to Barry. It was through the eyes of Wally West. And when Barry finally comes back and they're interacting, the interaction in many ways was so good that I had a respect for Barry. And so by the time they really start using Barry as the Flash again, which is what you get in Flashpoint Paradox, the animated film, my respect for Barry is kind of well established. This version of Barry that they have, I don't know who co-signed this. I don't know who signed off on it. To me, it's somebody that doesn't read comics. And I know they try to say, you know, everything can't be based off the comics entirely, but what's the fucking point? If you're going to do a movie off of a comic series where the people who have spent decades reading it love the character, why would you erase all of that real estate to start over and do some shit you just decided to wing? Hell, sometimes, I mean, in some of these films, they'll do shit that the director decides to do on the day they're recording it. Like sometimes they'll just wing shit. And these are often not directors who bother to read the source material. These are just people that, I can't tell you how many times I've heard of directors who were like, well, I've never heard of the character until I took the job. And then I just thought it would be interesting to do this with the character. You don't even know anything about the character, but you're going to wing it, you know, this kind of shit. So, yeah. Lazarus says, isn't Flash Barry Allen a detective? No, he's a forensic, oh God, I forget the term. He is kind of a crime scene investigator. Thanks, Gear. You know, he's brilliant. even to the point where Batman recognizes it. He's brilliant. But I think what Batman respects more about him is he's dedicated. He's dedicated. He's sincere. He does quality work. He's a great analyst in terms of making sense of what's going on at a crime scene. He's well respected. They kind of remove that. I mean, granted, he's a little younger. He's not established in his career yet. He's really not respected at work. But you could still tell that story in a realistic way because Barry went through that time period as well. And Barry is still well respected. At least, thank you. I am WAF. I don't know if it's WAF, but forensic scientist. Yeah. Barry has managed to do that and maintain the respect of the group he works with, the police he works with. This dude is a dumbass. I don't know. But that's a little thing that maybe you'll feel differently about. If you like what you saw in Justice League as it pertains to the Flash, then you'll probably like this. I didn't like it then. I don't really like it now, but believe it or not, I was open to have my mind changed. A good performance can do that. Sometimes a different director taking on a character from an ensemble movie like Justice League can flip it in a whole different way, and hey, you might like it. I don't think they did that successfully. But again, if you check out Artisan MC, check out Layman's Journal, they can probably go into more detail about some of the behind the scenes issues, the copyright issues, the writers, the directors. I wanted to do that, but I just couldn't drum up the energy after this shit. I couldn't. Anyway, that said, I hope you guys, I'll put it to you this way. If you really want to see a good film again, go back and see Spider-Verse. And if you haven't seen it yet, treat yourself. Go see Spider-Verse. That to me was a good movie. And I can tell you before it came out, I wasn't particularly excited. I wasn't down on the idea. I was indifferent. They won me over. I didn't come into the theater with a negative attitude. I just was like, okay, this is something my son wants to see. I'm a little curious, and they won me over. I gave The Flash that opportunity. Hell, I gave Transformers the opportunity. I wasn't moved one way or the other. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I want to hear your interpretations. So feel free to let me know in the comment section what you think. In the meantime, support the channel so that when we take these kind of hits, for y'all, help us out. Let us know you appreciate the sacrifice. I think I might have lost a brain cell or two watching this shit. So anyway, yeah. Y'all have a good night. I'll holler at y'all soon. Peace.